Vermont recently became the 4th state to legalize same-sex marriage. Do you think every state should follow suit? Why or why not?
Well, I think it's great that Americans are able to choose one or the other. We live in a land that you can choose same-sex marriage or opposite marriage. And you know what? In my country and in my family, I think that I believe that a marriage should be between a man and a woman. No offense to anybody out there, but that's how I was raised, and that's how I think that it should be between a man and a woman. Thank you.
Talking about it, I was the YouTube moment of the show, the pageant, when I asked Miss California her question, and when she gave the worst answer in pageant history. She got booed. I think that was the first time in Miss USA ever that a contestant has been booed. Now, let me explain to you. She lost not because she doesn't believe in gay marriage. Miss California lost because she's a dumb bitch. Okay? This is how a person with half a brain answers the question I posed her, which is, Vermont recently legalized same-sex marriages. Do you think other states should follow suit? Why or why not? Well, if I was Miss California with half a brain, I would have said, Perez, that's a great question. That's a very hot topic in our country right now, and I think that that is a question that each state should decide for themselves, because that's how our forefathers designed our government. You know, the states rule themselves, and then there's certain laws which are federal. She could have said something along those lines, but she didn't. She gave an awful, awful answer which alienated so many people. And Miss California, Miss USA, she doesn't alienate, she unites, she inspires. I am so disappointed in Miss California representing my country. Not because she doesn't believe in gay marriage, but because she doesn't inspire and she doesn't unite. And that is what a Miss California and a Miss USA should. And I could not believe when she became first runner-up. If that girl would have won Miss USA California, I would have gone up on stage, I shit you not. I would have gone up on stage, snatched that tiara off her head, and run out the door. And then I would have probably been arrested, but you know what? So be it.
In my country and in my family, I think that I believe that a marriage should be between a man and a woman. No offense to anybody out there, but that's how I was raised, and that's how I think that it should be between a man and a woman.
Well, that is the controversial answer that one of the judges says probably cost Miss California the Miss USA crown, and it has ignited a battle between the beauty queen and the blogger who asked her the question about gay marriage. His name is Perez Hilton, and he spoke with MSNBC's Norah O'Donnell yesterday about the scandal.
I was absolutely shocked and incredibly frustrated and hurt and disappointed, because that is not the kind of woman I want to be Miss USA. Miss USA should represent all Americans, and with her answer, she instantly was divisive and alienated millions of gays and lesbians, their family, their friends, and supporters.
And joining me live in studio is Miss California, Carrie Prejean, for her side of the story. Good to see you, Carrie.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So you've heard what Perez Hilton had to say. Tell us what were your thoughts when he asked you that question. I understand from our own Willie Geist, who was a judge, the judges were allowed to choose their questions of their liking, and that was the one he wanted to ask.
Right, and I was ready for a question that might have been controversial, but as soon as I had picked his name out of the bucket of questions, they immediately turned to Perez Hilton and said, ask your question. And from there, as soon as he immediately opened his mouth, I said, uh-oh, this might be going in the wrong direction.
He said you gave the worst answer in beauty pageant history.
Well, I don't think I gave the worst answer in beauty pageant history, but I didn't give the answer that he would have wanted me to give.
Did you give the answer that was in your heart? And do you regret the answer?
I stood up there and I was completely nervous. I was on national television with millions of people watching me, and if you can imagine being called in the top 5 at Miss USA, it's a huge accomplishment. I worked so hard to get to that point, and I was just focusing on just answering my question, and immediately after he asked me the question, I started talking, and I said, should I be politically correct, or should I follow my heart and follow what's right to myself and my beliefs? And I said, you know what? I'm laying it out on the table. This is who I am, and this is what I believe, and I'm going to stand by what I believe.
And he's standing by what he has said about you. Yesterday on MSNBC, he used some very colorful language. Let's face it, I want to play what he said. It is not even colorful. This is what he said about you.
I said the B word, and I was very angry. And you know what? I don't apologize. I apologized yesterday because I was upset and angry, and I thought I may have been too much in the moment. But over the course of the last 24 hours, the more I've thought about it, the more, you know what? No, I'm going to stand by what I said, just like she's standing by what she said.
And he went on, because we're apparently not going to play it, he went on to call you the C word. What's your response to that?
I can only say to him that I will be praying for him. And I feel sorry for him. I really do. I think that he's angry. I think that he's hurt. And, you know, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. He asked me specifically what my opinion was on that subject, and I gave him an honest answer. And that's all I can do. That's all I can really do.
What kind of support have you gotten? Have you gotten support and hate? What are you getting there?
You know, I haven't really gotten any hate. Surprisingly, I have been getting so many messages, and I've had over 4,000 friend requests on Facebook and over 2,000 messages on Facebook as well, just by people supporting me, saying thank you for standing up for what you believe in.
Let me ask you this, though. The director of the Miss California USA, Keith Lewis, issued a statement to Perez Hilton. He says that he was personally saddened and hurt that Miss CA USA 2009 believes marriage belongs only to a man and a woman. You know Keith Lewis. This is the co-executive director of Miss California. Have you spoken to him? Because he seems to be taking Perez Hilton's side in this.
I don't know what side he's taking on this. I know he's very supportive of my opinions and what I have to say about the attack on me. However, I really can't say, you know, he's entitled to his own opinion as well. And we're all entitled to our own opinions. It just so happened my opinion was announced on national television in front of millions of people.
If you had it to do again, would you give that same answer? Knowing that the Crown, because according to some of the scoring, or at least reports, you would have won this thing. Would you answer it the same way?
I would have answered it the same way. I maybe would have given a little bit more detail on what I feel about it and given a little more explanation, but bottom line is I believe a marriage should be between a man and a woman, and he asked me my opinion and I gave it to him.
All right, Carrie, thank you very much for your side. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
And that was Miss California responding to a controversial question from celebrity blogger Perez Hilton that many say cost her the crown. And here to respond is the runner-up to this year's Miss USA competition, Miss California. Carrie Prejean is with us. Welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
You know, first of all, the people of California voted on Prop 8. They agree with you.
Yes.
It's just an interesting side note.
Right.
All right. He has since viciously attacked you. What's your reaction?
All I can really do is hold my head high and just be proud of what I said that night, and I have no regrets. I said what I meant, and it was my honest opinion. He asked for my opinion. I gave it to him. I was under, as you were watching the video, I felt as if, though I maybe stumbled a little bit, but I picked myself back up at the very end, and I said what I needed to say, and I got my point across, and that's all you can really do.
If he's going to ask a question, it shouldn't be based on what your answer is. If they're asking for an honest answer, I mean, did you have to be dishonest or politically?
That's how I've been doing pageants since I was 17 years old, and I've always been told that you're not judged on what you say, but how you say it.
Yeah.
And they should never judge you on your opinions. And I think with a question like that that's so controversial, either way, I was either going to stay true to myself and stay true to my beliefs and my faith and stay strong with it, or I was going to give in to him and say...
Did you think at that moment that, all right, I know you said at one point that at that moment you knew that that was a controversial question, and you actually went on to say that you felt God was testing your character and faith. I do.
At that moment, I was getting ready to answer my question, and I started saying, I think that Americans, you know, we have the right to choose. But then something inside of me said, Carrie, stand up for what you believe in and say what you feel and represent the majority of California. You're Miss California. The majority of voters believe that a marriage is between a man and a woman, and
You have also said, and a lot of other people believe it as well, and I believe it also, based on looking over how the judging goes on, that if you had been given another question, you would have won this competition.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard that.
And you think so?
I honestly think that if I was not asked that specific question, I was prepared enough to answer pretty much any other question that there was.
But you don't care.
I don't. I think this is such a blessing, honestly. This is such a blessing that I'm able to be here to proclaim my faith on national television and be proud and have no regrets. I really don't.
When you say that, because a lot of times people think about beauty pageants, and all right, there's the bathing suit part, there is the evening gown part, but it's also, isn't there beauty inside? I mean, when 30 million plus people watch this woman with this incredible voice on Britain's Got Talent, I'm sure you saw the video of Susan Boyle. There's inward beauty, there's outward beauty. Isn't the contest, isn't it supposed to be about both?
It is, and it's about a young woman. You're supposed to feel empowered. You're supposed to feel like you have a voice. You're supposed to feel like you're able to be you and to let your personality show and to not be afraid of that. And you know, Perez wanted me to be politically correct. I'm sorry that I wasn't politically correct. I wanted to be biblically correct and state what I feel and what's true to my heart and what's true to my faith. And it is what it is.
What did you think when he went on this rant and actually used the B word? I mean, I can't think of anything more vicious, more mean, more insulting, more degrading. Just because you have a different opinion, which, by the way, happens to be the majority opinion of people in the country, including mine. What did you think of that, and how do you respond directly to him?
You know, I forgive him. I know that he's angry for whatever reason. I know there must be a bigger issue going on in his life. It just so happens that I'm used in this way, and I'm so happy. I'm so blessed. I'm happy to be here, and I'm filled with joy. I really am.
How did the faith develop in your life? Obviously, this is a big part of your life. You know, how did that become such a big part of your life?
Just the way that I was raised. You know, my parents raised me to have integrity, to you know, to believe in God, to believe that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and I'm not here to press my views on anyone else out there. I happened to be asked a very controversial question on national television in front of millions of people, and I think that was a time in my life where I had to stay strong, and I had to stay true to my convictions and stay true to my faith and just come out there and say it.
And even your sister, who's serving in the armed services, she disagrees with you on the issue.
And we have disagreements all the time about this topic. You know, my dad and I watch your show every night, and my sister will call in and she'll talk to us, and we'll have little debates here and there. And
well, I'm going to get you and your sister on. Maybe we'll have you two debate together. That might be a lot of fun.
But it's okay. We agree to disagree, and that's fine. And that's what's great about being an American, is that we're entitled to our own opinion. What's
the next step for you? What would you like to have happen in your career?
We'll see where it goes from here. I would hope to maybe become a motivational speaker and speak to young people about following your heart and staying true to yourself and not being afraid, just being, you know, being fearless. Don't be afraid to stand,
I love that. Yeah.
To stand apart from what's the norm and politically correct.
That's the biggest thing with kids. I mean, look at drugs and sex and, you know, all the pressure they have. If you could, in 30 seconds, what would you tell these kids?
I would tell them, do not let anyone come in between you and your beliefs and your faith, and just stay true to yourself, and don't compromise that for anyone or anything. I didn't compromise that for the crown of Miss USA.
I think there's a lot of people cheering you tonight, that you stood on your principles, that you put the principles above winning, and not enough people do that, and I admire you a lot for it. It's very nice to meet you.
God bless you. Thank you.
God bless you too. Thank you.